thank you once again for this opportunity to interact with the devotees. Also to the organizing team for this evening. Sai Ram to all of you. Loving pranams to Swami. And essentially picking up from the thread of your last few words, as you said, the rivers merge into the ocean. So essentially, if you really sort of look at what Shivananda Lahiri Shankaracharya in Canto 61 says. He says the state of mind or state of love is that all actions are directed to the Lord, which essentially means that you are constantly focusing on the lotus feet of your master. Just like an Ankola tree, the seed falls and it drives itself towards the root. Just like an iron needle is attracted to the magnet. Just like a creeper, nature is a great example for all of us. So a creeper naturally finds its ways to climb on tree or on a wall. It has a natural affinity to grow. And as you said, rivers merge into the ocean. So I think essentially, if you look at all these examples, they all are leading to quest for the divine, ultimate merging and reality that you're looking for. I must quote Lao Tzu again. I quoted him last time. He says, nature does not hurry. If you look at things in nature, they don't hurry. A creeper takes its time to grow. Okay. Same way, a seed takes its time to take root, and then a tree slowly and gradually over a period of time grows. And river travels from high mountains and then goes all the way to the ocean to merge in the ocean. Now, similarly, nature does not do anything in hurry, yet everything is accomplished. So that's what Lao Tzu says. That you go slow and steady, and so is our sadhana. If you really look at it, when we talk about sadhana, it's essentially that we learn every step of the way. We nourish that relationship with the master and let it grow. And one fine day, you find that the creeper, which was a very tiny plant seeded somewhere, is actually grown on the entire wall. It's just so similar to that. So essentially, if you look at that, that's what a relationship of love is between a human and divine. There are very beautiful lines actually, and I think these are very simple lines which anybody can understand. The line says, "Mohe machli tum neer, तुझ बिन क्यों सरे?" कि मैं तो मछली हूँ, as a human being, I am the fish, and you are that atha sagar. You are the water for which I yearn, and without you I cannot survive. मोहे मछली तुम नीर तुझ बिन क्यों सरे, मोहे चात्रिक तुम बूंद तुझ बिन क्यों सरे. Basically what it says is, if you see in the month of monsoon, the bird of Chatrik as a bird keeps its mouth open towards the sky, and all it is looking for is a drop to fall in its mouth. So that is the incessant relationship of a bhakta and Lord. And that's essentially the core of a relationship between a shishya and a guru, or a disciple and the master. But if you really look at it, you don't become realized overnight. The grace falls on you,
Yes.
and then you do sadhana, and then you reach an epitome of that divine energy. So it's the same. So nature actually is a great teacher for all of us. We should observe it very, very closely. And it's as the nature grows, so does our spiritual development happen slowly, gradually, and with His grace, like the sun shines, the Guru's grace shines on you and you grow. I think that's essentially how it is. It can be juxtaposed with nature. I am an avid reader of Rumi actually. You know, and I'll weave this in towards the end of this sort of conversation. The Rumi says, "The closer I get, the more I see. The closer I get, the more I see how far I am." You know, so essentially, as I came physically closer and closer to Swami, it made me realize that how far I was from my final destination. You know, uh, but it was a beautiful journey. I remember very early on. I think it was in the year 2002. I went for my first Prashanti Seva, uh, and I was our senior Shastriji was my group leader at the mandir, and duty was assigned to me in the mandir to sort of control the crowds, on the path on which Swami used to walk in those days. And so if you see, Swami used to walk from Purnachandra straight and then take at the end of that path, he used to take right turn. And so if you can imagine today, if and obviously Sevadals are looking towards the crowd and not towards Swami. You're not actually, as a matter of discipline, look towards him. So my bang in the middle of that path was my back. Okay, and all these people. So I would get to know, because the moment Swami would come closer, you can see people's expressions and faces. How they lighten up and how they brighten up, and people are holding up their letters. But you, as a disciplined soldier, are not supposed to look back. But you know that he's around somewhere behind you, and you should and you have to just keep a watch on the crowd. But there's a lovely expressions to watch on people's faces when they looked at Swami. It so happened, this is how the divine romance happens. And to just describe and give you one sort of short glimpse into this, what started happening was, obviously you yearn to see the master when he's so close. So much so that, on the second day when he came close to me, his robe was actually touching my back. And he was talking to people in front of me. Obviously, I was looking towards the people, and so his robe was touching. And at this was day one, and and then day two, I could actually feel Swami. Swami was so close; he was actually taking letters, just bending over my head, and I could feel his body against my back actually. So it felt so good. And this is how your sort of relationship of love grows, even without, imagine, even when you're not looking, there is so much vibration that you're receiving from your master. And I think I was there for 7 days or 8 days, and on, I think, third or the fourth day, actually he put his hand over my head and lifted the letter from somebody ahead of me, who was actually wanting to take the letter. So it was so beautiful. I think that's my sort of first brush with sort of doing seva, and also receiving so much love and grace from him. And that was a very, very joyful experience. I came back extremely happy from that seva, seva trip that we did, Prashanti seva trip that we did. I think so. That will always remain so vivid in my mind. I can always feel his hand over my head. It has also happened in 2010 again, but I think that was the first sort of As I said in my last talk, uh, these are all the experiences that he gives us of his grace, of his um, conveying to you that he knows that you are there, even if you're not looking at him. He just wants to make you feel important, feel nice. Ultimately, he has always said to all of us, I want you all to be happy. And I think that's what really matters at the end of the day, that we are happy with his grace and we spread that happiness around. I think that's what he has taught us. Imagine somebody who only came as late as 1998 to his lotus feet, and 12 years later, Swami did Padarpanam in my house in Delhi. It was a very, very rapid journey, a very loving journey, and it must have been all preordained for this lifetime, if you look at it. So, so it's all sort of, as I said earlier, nature, it all grows slowly, 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 and then a day arrives. And as I said earlier, it's absolutely right. The more you get closer to him and you feel his being, feel his energy, feel his love, the more you found that there's a long way ahead for you. You have to do a lot of sadhana, introspection, a lot of love in action to what his expectation is of you. There's a difference between love and infatuation. You know, when you have infatuation, you find uh, something absolutely perfect in the other person. Okay. Love is when you realize everyone is not perfect. And when you realize the next step that it does not really matter, you know, uh, it's a process that each one of us are going through. Uh, every person born on earth has their own struggles, have their own challenges, and one has to take them in a stride. If you look at Bhagwan Baba, you know, what did he come uh, to take away from us? Okay, and if I can juxtapose that with Krishna Leelas, the Ras Leelas of Krishna, often we have read in the scriptures that Krishna ran away with the robes of the gopis. Now, what were these robes? Okay. Have we ever thought about that? He was taking away the robes of ego, the shame, the fear, the hypocrisy, the prejudice, the avarice, the hatred. He was taking away the robes of all these things away from the gopis. So, if you really look at it and apply the same sort of example to what was Swami pocketing away from us, he was only pocketing away that you can love more. Okay? You can essentially love more, and in this sort of taking away the robes, he was only wanting us to be more loving, more compassionate, more happy, more joyful, more peaceful, and lead a righteous life. So essentially, when a master comes to your life, he is going to take the layers, robes one after another of various things which are not necessary for you to love. Essentially, he wants you to become a more loving, compassionate human being. So that's what essentially sort of Swami was doing to all of us, and that's my at least understanding of the subject. Yes, you are never going to be. See, obstacles don't block the path. If you really look at it, in life, everybody is going to have obstacles. So obstacles don't block the path; they are the path. So if you make them the path, then I don't think it becomes very difficult. And when you look at what I said earlier, that when you realize that everybody is not perfect and it doesn't really matter, then I think it's very easy for you to then sort of live a life of love. Don't we, in our daily sort of chores at home, look at our respective spouses? Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're not happy, but you accept all that. You realize that it's part of the whole thing. And same with the children, same with the help that you have at home. It's so many circumstances we are dealing with all the time. You don't start hating them. You keep continue to love them, and that's essentially the the essence of the learning that we have from Swami. That he has disrobed us from all this hatred, avarice, and everything else, and he wants us to lead a life of love and compassion. What is the difference between the stumbling block and the stepping stones? Is how you use them. You know, they're both stones, but it's how you use those stumbling blocks in life. So um, basically, if you sort of if you if you if you learn the essence of what he wanted us to practice, then I think this doesn't become very difficult. And then you start accepting. And why should you not be accepting? And we should never feel that
Yeah,
we are not capable of doing this. And I always say, stop underestimating yourself. You have the living God within you. Why do you underestimate yourself? We should very
yeah.
happily sort of accept every situation, and we all have living God within us. And he has Swami, as you know, he has said, "You are God, I am God." I know, I realize that you don't, but you see, essentially, we are on the path, and we must realize that. Yeah, I
Correct.
just I just told you something in the last one, just a little while back,
Yes,
that
sir.
you don't underestimate yourself. You have a living God sitting inside you.
Yeah, I have.
So you can surmount any challenge, any difficulty, any misunderstanding, any sort of any kind of situation that you may have, which may have arisen in your life. You know, he has empowered us. He's residing within us. So why should you underestimate yourself? Never do. Never be in that self doubt ever. If you sort of a past incident or a past happening has caused some grief to you in the past, I think the best way is to surmount that issue is, I think, get on top of it. You know, don't let it fester within you. I personally have used this technique where I don't let it fester. I just get on the top of it myself and say, is this something very important for me, for me to progress further? If the answer, and usually the answer is no, uh, I just move on. I just don't let it fester for longer than it is what is required. I think we are all human beings. We all have these challenges and issues which come up on a daily basis, either in workplace or in our interactions, in our private interactions. But I think that at the end of the day, you have to sort of get over it, and there cannot be any external force which will help you do it. It is your innate energy and your innate divinity which will make you surmount that. you know and you can just sort of as I say, when you replace why is this happening to me, when you start replacing why is this happening to me with what is it trying to teach me, I think everything shifts. You know, if you start looking at it from that perspective, you think you will very quickly surmount your problem.